Hello, everyone, once again. This is Rob. Welcome back to Media Awareness. Before I continue, a reminder the fundraiser continues. For those of you new to my channel or unaware, I am a disabled individual and I use a motorized wheelchair slash scooter all day, every day for my independence, and I need your help. My insurance will not cover anything with regard to my scooter as they view it as a quote luxury item end quote, despite the fact that I am unable to walk whatsoever, in addition to being unable to use any other type of scooter or powered chair or even a standard wheelchair for that matter, as I only have limited dexterity in one hand. In addition to that, I do not have a backup scooter or wheelchair to rely on at the current time. So if my scooter should malfunction as it did in the past, I will yet again be a fish out of water, a scenario I want to avoid at all costs. In addition to that, my wheelchair van has ceased functioning and I need my independence to be reliable. Therefore, it is crucial that I meet the goals that I have in mind. The scooter itself is in need of ongoing refurbishing, and I also plan on purchasing a brand new scooter to use moment to moment, day to day, every day, with my existing model completely refurbished, waiting in the wings to be used at a moment's notice if necessary, when necessary. Also, having the ability to go wherever I need to go in my own vehicle would be an ideal situation at the current time and in the future. So, a new wheelchair van is definitely a must as well. So, please do what you can. I would greatly appreciate anything that you can contribute. I do want to extend a gracious thanks to those who have contributed thus far, in addition to those who plan on contributing, as your contributions have and will make a world of difference in my life. Thank you all. I love you all. If you're not yet subscribed to Media Awareness, my channel, please consider subscribing and becoming part of the Media Awareness family. I'd love to have you. Also, if you do subscribe, be sure to click the bell icon. That way, you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video, much like this one. So, this is an album review of Hangwire Eulogy for the Nameless. It is their second album. The first, their debut was called Farewell, and it's a great debut. I very seldomly praise debut albums, but it deserves it and it deserves to be heard. So check that one out. But Eulogy for the Nameless, its follow up, and the band's second full length album release is an album I was really looking forward to, and I want to talk about some of the tracks that really impacted me and some of the aspects of the album that I kind of have issues with. Um, and Hangwire is described as a post punk band. Um, Sort of in the new wave category, musically speaking, and the influences range from The Cure to Depeche Mode to Bauhaus to everything in between. Um, and they're really a solid band. Uh, the interesting thing is, when I was listening to the new album, I heard a lot of the Velvet Underground, interestingly, in terms of potential influences, even unconsciously, with the Velvet Underground influencing some of the band's influences in the past. So, possibly through osmosis, so to speak. But its Eulogy for the Nameless is a solid album. The problems come into the length. Now, before I get to that, I'm going to highlight some of the tracks that really uh, impacted me personally, and after that, I'll give you my take on the flaws of this album, if what little flaws there are. So I'm going to just go through the tracks that impacted me personally and that I felt were strong tracks, stronger than the rest on the album, so to speak, in my opinion. Of course, that's subjective, but it'll give you an idea of what to expect really with this album itself. We start out the album quite strongly with a track called In Absentia. It's a great opening track. It really caps off the album, and launches it, and really gives it a good overall vibe. Um, Another song that resonated with me personally, Nerve, and then another one is called June. And June is this somewhat slower piece, and I have it described here as beautifully intense, because it has this really gorgeous sound to it, and it just builds, and it's so magnificent, really. Um, the next track that I really thought was cool was The Trial. Void Syndrome, which is this kind of groovy track. It has a nice flow to it, and the tempo is not upbeat, it's not slow, but just right in between. It really just kind of moves along. And then when you skip to disc two, and you may be asking yourself, well, you haven't showed us disc one or disc two. I don't have a physical copy of this album, and I'll explain that after I go through the rest of these tracks as being potentially problematic for some of you out there as well. So on this too, the one song that really got me was called "The Collector" (open parenthesis) rearranged close parenthesis. Um, and this song really hits hard. That and Decay, which is just this amazing track that builds and builds, and there's sort of this spoken word kind of segment um, in it, and that erupts into this just incredible emotional experience, and it's really just amazing. Oblivion we shall be, and uh, this is just a great way to end off an album. It's just a very slow paced song, but it takes you out of the album the way an ending track should. And if you listen to the album from beginning to end, you'll understand what I mean by that. The production on this album is stellar, by the way. There is a great dynamic range in the mix. You have some highs and lows. Everything is balanced out perfectly, and you have highs when there should be highs, lows when there should be lows. Nothing is overwhelming when it shouldn't be. It's all really mixed fantastic. And also, there's a good array of you got your drums, you got your synth, you have bass, you have guitar, and you also have some occasional electronic drums thrown in for certain songs, for certain drum fills. Not to the point where it's uh, overwhelming, but just enough to give you the feel of sort of this retro album for that new wave style. So the album as a whole, if I have any gripes with it at all, it is that it's too long. There's 18 tracks total, 9 on disc 1 and 9 on disc 2. And the only reason I even know that is because of Spotify listing it as such. When I acquired my copy of the album from Amazon Music, um, it unfortunately downloaded it as one file, so there's no disc one or disc two, and you have track one followed by track one, track two followed by track two, etc. in alphabetical format. So you would need to separate those onto discs and route the discs to your computer if you are inclined to do so, and if you do music the way I do and uh, want to organize as such, that's what you would need to do. Um, so that's more of a aesthetic issue that Amazon needs to work out on their end as far as Amazon Music goes. But as far as the album itself, it's too much, yet it doesn't feel like it when you listen to it. It really flows quite naturally, but in that within that flow, um, you have a certain derivative nature of some of the songs sounding like previous songs, and you can get lost in this album. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's an emotional experience. The vocals have this Marilyn Manson type tone, vocal effect on them, and it works really well for this album, for this band. They did it on the first album, and they did it on this album as well, and it really serves the vocals quite well. It actually also sounds a bit like early Velvet Underground as well with their experimentation. And you know, it's it's an album to look for on the Media Awareness Top 20 countdown when I do my album countdown at the end of the year, because this album is one that I've been listening to pretty frequently, and uh, I'll put it on and just leave it on, and it's an album to really vibe to. Um, but at the same time, if you're really just listening to it to listen to it in an introspective manner, you're going to notice, like I said, a derivative nature to some of the songs, and you start to realize that there are too many songs. And I think they could have maybe made the album 14 tracks. There's some tracks that really don't hit quite as hard as others, at least in my opinion. But I highlighted the tracks that impacted me, and I hope that that helps you to explore this album. I'm going to link their YouTube page in the description. That way, you can get a hold of their music. There's a link to their all their pages. There's no official website, unfortunately, that I could find other than the YouTube page, and they have an Instagram that you can follow and get a hold of potential merchandise that way as well. But that's the best I can really suggest as far as actually acquiring this album, other than going through second hand vendors. which I wouldn't recommend doing. Uh, give the band the credit and the love that they deserve and try and purchase from them directly if you can. And or through an unauthorized dealer, such as Amazon, if you're okay with the MP3 album of this album, Eulogy for the Nameless, Hangwire. Check it out and check out their first album for a while. And this is Rob with Media Awareness. A reminder the fundraiser continues. Any and all help is welcome. I cannot stress that enough. You can even contribute anonymously, and even $5 or $10 can make all the difference in the world, and it really really is necessary for me to continue the ongoing refurbishing of my existing wheelchair that I'm sitting in at the moment. I use it all day every day. However, it's also important for me to be able to save for the purchase of a new scooter as well to replace this one, and to have this as a backup, and just in case something were to happen with a new one. And also, I'm saving for a wheelchair van. So there's quite a bit going on in terms of the fundraiser, and I would really appreciate your help. And if you have contributed, thank you so much. I really love you all. I appreciate you all. And all I ask of you, if you have contributed or if you're unable to for because of financial constraints, please like my video and share it on any and all social media platforms. That way the word of my fundraiser gets spread as well as my channel itself. I will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful morning, noon, or night wherever you are. Take care. Bye.